Labour Minister calls for review of laws. Naval officers win international award. And Parkop blasts utility companies and land department.
This is National MTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening and thank you for joining me for Friday's news. Labour and Industrial Relations Minister Benjamin Poponawa has highlighted the need for stakeholders and the government to review and improve existing labour laws, many of which have remained unchanged for more than 20 years. Mr. Poponawa has also issued a statement calling on relevant departments to improve information sharing. The minister made the call when opening a new office complex in Port Moresby, which now houses all the functions of the Labour Department.
Since 2012, there's been a lot of attention given to reforming the country's labour laws. A lot of the work has been facilitated by the International Labour Organization, the ILO, that's pushing for Papua New Guinea's international compliance. But there's still a lot more to be done.
That's how we can help Papua New Guinea. That's how we can get Papua New Guinea back.
Yesterday, when the Labour and Industrial Relations Minister opened a new office building, he told those present that old labour laws that had been in existence for more than 20 years had to be reviewed and improved.
Okay, some of these laws are some 20, 30 years down the line. We've moved on and the place has changed. And the way of doing business has changed also. And there's a, people are more, real time. So we need to, that's why we need to update our Industrial Relations Act and the Employment Relations Act.
Some of the questions that remain include how new forms of employment in the 21st century should be regulated. Are our laws adequate when dealing with export of labour to other countries? Whose responsibility is it, Foreign Affairs or Labour? And there are many grey areas that need clarification. Also, there are many areas in which the laws are silent.
We need the input from people like the Prime Minister's Department, National Planning Department. And
perhaps the biggest challenge is information sharing. For instance, the Labour Department and the Department of Foreign Affairs handle similar responsibilities. But those within the bureaucracy admit both departments don't readily share information, and that can make the regulation of foreign workers and other matters quite complex. Scott Waide, National MTV News.
A multi-million kina grant plan has been unveiled for the redevelopment of Port Moresby's popular recreational area, Ella Beach. Unveiling the plan, Governor for the National Capital District, Powis Parkop, said the concept consists of 3 different zones, which will accommodate culturally relevant symbols in the landscape. China Harbour has been awarded a 45.23 million kina contract to reconstruct Ella Beach Road as a 4-lane road and build 300 car parks.
This is the plan.
There will be 2 stages to the development. Firstly, the construction of the APEC house on NCDC's Sea Park land, and secondly, the development of the Ella Beach Park. Under the plan, the beach will be recreated at reclaimed land 100 meters into the sea. The park will also accommodate the Civic Plaza, event and food space, a new 2,000-seat amphitheater, and a physical activities zone.
We have awarded 45.2 million contract to China Harbour. They will do the road and also extend the beach to 100 meters into the sea. So that 100 meters into the sea will enable us to build different facilities to enhance the beach and make it a lovely place for family, for children.
The development of the Ella Beach Park will complement other infrastructure developments in the city, like the Kumul flyover and the new roads from 9 Mile to Gerehu and on to Kanudi. Governor Parkop said the multi-million kina Ella Beach transformation will be a major tourist attraction and will showcase the city's beachfront to visitors of the 2018 APEC Leaders Summit.
So we're doing our part to prepare the city for that once-in-a-lifetime event. Importantly, we should leverage to promote our city, our country, and our people and our culture. And so we will do our part in collaboration with the national government to prepare the city.
Minister for National Events and APEC 2018, Justin Tachenko, said the APEC House was an initiative of Prime Minister Peter O'Neill. It will be developed through a tax credit scheme through oil search. Minister Tachenko said the APEC House will be an iconic building that will be the symbol of Port Moresby City.
APEC House is another development through a tax credit scheme, through oil search, and with that we're working together with them so that after APEC that building will be utilised for public interest as well, and be that iconic building that everybody can come and visit and see, just like the Sydney Opera House.
Governor Parkop said the Ella Beach Park and the proposed APEC House will form an interdependent cultural center point that will showcase PNG culture and leave a lasting legacy beyond the APEC summit. Deli Waigeno, National, MTV News.
NCD Governor Parkop says the Department of Lands and Physical Planning is an obstacle to development in the nation's capital. A frustrated governor said land reserved for public use continues to be leased out to private individuals and organizations without proper consultation.
There was no holding back as a clearly frustrated governor blasted the Lands Department for corruption over issuing of leases over public areas.
We should be following our master plan, the local development plan. Our physical planning people have designed so many local development plans, but are we following it? No. Why? Because the Department of Lands to left, right, and center give title nothing. UDLs here and there. Even me as the chairman of physical planning, some of the UDLs, we are supposed to consider the UDLs before we award it. Department of Lands, without proper procedure, giving UDLs left, right, and center.
He said to date there have been no NCDC lands board in place, which is frustrating the process of implementing city plans.
We have built up this road from 9 Mile all the way to Bautama. They are already starting to give UDLs and undeveloped lists not using proper survey. They just do a computer thing and then somebody have title. So it's a big frustration, and I'm very angry and mad at this Department of Lands and their minister. I've been polite and trying to be diplomatic and trying to work with them for a long time, and I've had enough.
Governor Parkop raised these issues at the unveiling of the Ella Beach development plans with Moresby South MP and Minister for Sports and APAC, Justin Tachenko.
Greedy, selfish individuals trying to steal public land. It makes me more angry than the governor, because the situation is we have limited space left in our city. And the land that we have is for the public. It's for our people. Not one company, not one self-individual that wants to go through all the wrong ways to achieve and get that land for themselves.
The lack of information sharing among government agencies is increasing and posing development obstacles. Yesterday, MTV spoke with National Housing Corporation tenants at 6 Mile who could be evicted because the land the property is on has been bought by a private individual. Parkop hopes the Prime Minister will be able to speak with the Lands Minister and Secretary to put an end to these issues.
I want to call on the Prime Minister to, do something about the department. Sack the land board or revamp the department and make it better. And importantly, give us in the city, land powers. We are capable of managing the land in the city.
Sarah Aupong, National, MTV News.
The Lands Department is not the only government agency that Governor Parkop is disappointed in. He also called out utility companies PNG Power and Edaranu for not proactively supporting the development of the city.
The city expects the utility companies to shape up and support the municipal government. We have the plan, we want to progress, but they are hindering and holding us back. That's for PNG Power. Edaranu as well, a bit slow too. They've been helping us a bit, but they're still a bit slow, and they need to shape up and lift up. The city is expanding economically, population-wide. Physically, you can see city going that way, Taroma going that way. Not long ago to Bautama. I need, and we need, Edirano to be proactive, not to be reactive and wait until we do it or we do this. They should have plans. They have money.
The 2016 expenditure shows that more money has been allocated to districts and provinces around the country. Almost 30% of the country's budget goes directly to district, provincial and local level government support improvement programs. The funds are meant for infrastructure development in key sectors such as health and education, but there are still concerns about priority areas. Bethany Harriman with this report.
2016 government spending shows that all levels of government have received a generous amount of money. It is lavish spending that is going towards supporting the government's development agendas of free health and education. In a presentation to the private sector, the Treasury Department's First Assistant Secretary, Andrew O. Eke, said close to 30% of the budget is given to the district, provinces and local level government.
But in terms of the key areas where investment in productive investment remains a critical part of the PNG economy, very much in terms of making sure government provides that enabling environment, continue to invest in infrastructure, and of course look at the enabling regulatory environment that try to support the growth of the private sector. Obviously, we all know is the engine of growth in the economy.
But while the statistics show substantial spending in the billions of kina, priority areas are determined by provincial executive councils and joint budget priority planning committees of the district, provincial and local level governments. The government's development agendas has also come under scrutiny from the opposition. Deputy Leader Sam Basil used the deteriorating state of Lay's Milford Haven Road to criticize provincial and national government spending priorities.
This route takes a lot of containers out of the main road. This is where all the containers come out of the ship from the Asia and Pacific. That's where the containers come out. This route builds in Texas back to the coffers of the national government close to 1 billion kina. Now, I do not understand why and how the government and the World Bank and the Australian OSAID and all these institutions out there in Port Moresby, I don't know how they measure the economic returns when they look at what other provincial roads that will contribute back to the economy.
Bethany Harriman, National EMTV News, Lae.
A feeder road neglected by Morbe provincial government for 25 years is now being fixed. The maintenance of the road is done through a partnership of Bulolo district and its local level governments. Areas of Middle Watut in Mumeng LLG will now have access to basic government services after the work is done.
The Middle Watut area of Mumeng LLG will now benefit from government services that were denied 25 years ago. The Banglu Wawas feeder road was left idle by the Morbe provincial government when Bulolo district, together with its local level government, decided to partner in maintaining the road. Member for Bulolo, Sam Basil, said through the district's sustainability program, a new DE5 bulldozer machine was purchased through the DSIP fund to maintain the Middle Watut road.
We bought a machine, put it here. The LLG president and myself, we supply fuel, parts, operational costs. They will maintain the road.
In the past, sick patients, especially children, are often carried by the mothers for nearly a day walk before they reach the main road that access transports when seeking medical treatment. The continuous maintenance of the road will now ease difficulties faced by the locals. A mother from Middle Watut during the launching of an aid post that was established as a result of the road maintenance shared her experience when seeking government services.
Before me plak can about lo morning na abinun no tutak me plak can come up lo mouse road lo car next car. Some time I must opinions sit no through sa dai lo road.
The road maintenance will continue to Waria in Bulolo districts and other areas of the district. Basil said a two lane is part of the sustainability program in the district. Julie Badui Owa,
National MTV News, Ley.
Up next on the news, lawyers warned of abusing court process. First Provincial Health Authority for Hela Province and PNG Navy wins Kakadu exercise in Australia. Details after the break. Welcome back. National Court Judge Justice Colin McKyle has warned lawyers not to abuse court processes. He said this today at the Waigani National Court in Port Moresby after lawyers representing the late Copiago MP Philip Undialu filed the same proceeding in both the National and Supreme Court. Justice McKyle adjourned the matter to next Tuesday to allow them to decide on which proceeding.
The proceeding was an amended motion filed by the late Copiago MP Philip Undialu at the Supreme Court. It was to restrain the first defendant and Komo Magarima MP, Francis Potape, from performing his duty as Hela governor. The National Court today had the same proceeding. Justice McKyle warned Undialu's lawyer that they are abusing the court's processes. He said it has taken up judges' time to deal with disputes which can be dealt quicker. The proceeding was filed following the court case between Undialu and Potape. On September 6, the National Court had issued directions for the Hela Provincial Assembly to meet to vote a new governor. On September 13, the Assembly met and voted Potape as the governor. Undialu then filed a Supreme Court motion to prevent Potape from performing his duty. The lawyer will seek instructions from his clients and instruct the court next Tuesday. Pasenata Yama, National MTV News.
Amidst the political instability in the Hela province, there is some good news. Next week, Hela will witness the launch of the Provincial Health Authority. This move will strengthen the work being done by the Tari Hospital, which serves more than 300,000 people. Deborah Pranis reports from Tari.
Tari Hospital in the Hela province is one of the oldest hospitals in the country. Built in 1954, the hospital has had its share of challenges over the years. Nevertheless, it has come a long way. This year, the hospital has achieved a level 5 status, serving over 300,000 people. Next week, the Hela province will achieve yet another milestone with the declaration of the Provincial Health Authority.
One of them is the declaration of this hospital to level 5. And then the second thing is the approval of staff structure, and then the allocation of budget and so forth. And next week is going to be the declaration of the Provincial Health Authority for Hela Provincial Health Services. So this Provincial Health Authority is meaning it's a whole service that is a health service that is provided in the 3 districts, plus this hospital, they will come under one system. So whatever resources, manpower, finance, projects, whatever that we have, I'm going to work in good consultations.
Deborah Pranis, National MTV News, Tari.
A senior acting manager of Water PNG has expressed concern over the lack of proper cancer equipment and facility needed to assist cancer patients in the country. Wallace Pingin made these remarks after presenting 2 tickets to a cancer patient, Ruth Wiak, and her husband for them to travel back to Kiunga after being left in Ley for about 3 months. The patient and her husband were not able to return home and were living at Engau's cancer ward whilst waiting for assistance.
Ruth Wiak is from Mohead in Western Province. She had a stage 3 cancer on her left breast when she was first referred to Engau General Hospital from Kiunga Hospital in May this year. In April, she undergone an operation. Engau's radiation oncology registrar, Dr. David Kundi, says when she first came to Engau in May, they had noticed that the tumor size had increased and had spread to her lungs. The cancer is now in its advanced stages.
From the stage after operation till now, she is at stage 4 of a disease, which means it's the latest state of a condition. So For her, we couldn't proceed on by giving her radiotherapy. The only mode of treatment would be just chemotherapy and for palliative management. With that, she's been with us for almost like 4 months now, just awaiting repatriation. No fundings available, but thanks to Water PNG.
Dr. Kundi explains Ruth had been living in the ward with the other patients after she was discharged from the hospital. However, she and her husband were not able to return to Kiunga as they had no money. And as a result, Dr. Kundi and the nurses at the hospital started writing letters to business houses in the city for financial assistance.
And finally, we managed to get a repatriation ticket, and Ruth Werk and the guardian, they will go back to Kiunga.
Lace Water PNG Acting Senior Manager Wallis Pingin says the company decided to help assist Ruth and her husband pay for their traveling expenses, as most people in the rural areas face similar situations when it comes to seeking medical treatment. Pingin, speaking from his own experience, said his wife had also been diagnosed with cancer and had to take her to the Philippines to receive medical care.
She flew back and she's feeling well, so recalling that experience, I just felt for the plight of the patient that Angao to be taken repatriated to Kiunga. So
Pingin believes there are many similar cases in the country where rural people are not able to get professional medical help. Most of them cannot afford to come to town to have access to basic medical treatment. Ruth's case is one of the many that brings to light the need to bring better healthcare services as well as proper medical equipment into the rural areas. Mataluis, National EMTV News, Ley.
The PNG Defence Force Navy has returned to the country with a military shield they won in the Kakadu exercise in Australia. They placed PNG's name on the shield after performing exceptionally well against some of the most powerful navies in the world. A crew of 30 men sailed into Lancron Naval Base in Port Moresby at 11:30 this morning.
The crew returned today after spending 2 weeks in Darwin undergoing the Kakadu exercise. They brought with them the shield they were awarded for their outstanding performance in the minor war vessel concentration period category. Details of this category were not released to the media.
To strengthen the relations between the 17 navies participating. Our ships and ship's crew did extremely well. The feedback from the organizers of the exercise and indeed their fellow navies from around the region was highly positive about the skill and capability of our sailors.
The attainment of the shield comes as a boost for the PNGDF. The naval officers were welcomed into the country by Colonel Sialediro, the Chief of Force Preparation, counterparts from the Australian Defence Force and relatives of the soldiers. Kakadu is a regional maritime safety protection exercise in which the PNGDF has participated in since the 1990s. This year, 17 countries took part, including Japan and Indonesia.
So for us, we did exceptionally well compared to the other Royal Australian Navy minor war vessels.
Cooperation and teamwork between ship's company and men, plus the officers coming down to the sailors, everyone should be like participating in a well-managed sailormanship, good seamanship and everything, but everything is just all spin around the teamwork.
The crew will be sailing back to Manus in the coming days. Thakla Gunga, National EMTV News.
And now looking at our finance news, the kina closed unchanged at $0.3155 US in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.3080 US, $0.4004 Australian dollars, $0.2714 euro and 30.79 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, Coffee and cocoa closed lower, gold closed higher, while copper closed the day unchanged. Palm oil and copper closed higher, while crude oil closed the day lower. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 195.79 points lower. The ASX is trading at 35.36 points lower, and the Ordinaries is trading at 33.13 points lower. Stories making headlines overseas. When we come back, stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. Taiwan grappled with the aftermath of Typhoon Maggie on Wednesday, which brought strong winds and heavy rainfall, causing flooding and wind damages throughout the island, while further rainfall continued in parts of the country. Last year's Typhoon Sudela left the district severely damaged, while this year's typhoons keep challenging the repairs that have been made there.
Water could be seen gushing down a mountainside in Wulai, New Taipei City, a mountain community that has been prone to mudslides and road damage in recent years. Most schools and offices were shut, and the north-south bullet train suspended services as Typhoon Maggie, packing winds of well over 165 knots per hour, roared in from the Pacific. Parts of Kaohsiung and southern Taiwan experienced flooding of streets and land as rainfalls caused a local river to swell beyond its boundaries. As rainfall continued through Wednesday morning, houses were also affected by the flooding. Schools and offices remained shut for a second day on Wednesday in major cities as the island's weather authorities advised that due to the large diameter of the typhoon, heavy rain and strong wind would not significantly abate until Wednesday afternoon. At least 329 people were injured and more than 14,000 evacuated, the government's Central Emergency Operations Center said late Tuesday. Authorities also estimated more than 3 million households had lost power, while 72,000 were without water. Lorraine Gabina, EMTV World News.
In the United States, protesters demand an investigation after a police officer in Southern California shot and killed an unarmed black man less than 2 weeks after similar incidents sparked outrage in 2 other U.S. cities. In the latest shooting on Tuesday, 2 officers responded to calls about an African-American man in his 30s walking in traffic and not acting like himself.
Tuesday's mid-afternoon shooting unfolded after 2 officers responded to several calls about a mentally unstable person walking in traffic and confronted the man behind a restaurant in the San Diego suburb of El Cajon, according to police. One policeman opened fire with his service pistol and his partner simultaneously fired a taser stun gun when the man pulled an object from his pocket and took aim at them in a shooting stance. No weapon from the man, however, was recovered at the scene. The object he was said to be carrying was not specified. Activists and friends later identified the victim as Ugandan-born Alfred Olango, which Mayor Bill Wells confirmed on Wednesday. Friends and supporters said Olango, 38, according to court records, was mentally ill and may have been suffering a seizure in the moments before his death. Police said they obtained cell phone video of the shooting from a bystander, but authorities released only a still frame showing 2 officers pointing weapons at a man who was aiming an object at them. The shooting came days after 2 black men were killed by police in questionable circumstances in Charlotte, North Carolina and Tulsa, Oklahoma, igniting demonstrations decrying racial bias by U.S. law enforcement. Authorities imposed a state of emergency and a curfew to quell unrest in Charlotte. Protests continued after dark, with hundreds of people marching from the shooting scene to City Hall, about 1.5 miles away and back again, shouting Olango's name, taunting police and occasionally disrupting traffic. Olango's mother, reacting to the incident, said her son was having a mental breakdown when he was confronted by police, adding that they should have helped him instead of quickly opening fire. Lorraine Gabina, EMTV World News.
Former Israeli President and Nobel Peace Prize laureate Shimon Peres died aged 93 in Tel Aviv on Wednesday. Peres was hospitalized following a stroke 2 weeks ago and had made some progress but experienced a sudden deterioration in his condition on Tuesday.
Thousands of security forces were deployed in and around Jerusalem on Thursday, Israeli police said, amid preparations for the state funeral of former Israeli President Shimon Peres. A special command center was formed near the location of the funeral, which will be held at Jerusalem in a section dedicated to the great leaders of the nation. Police spokesperson Mickey Rosenfeld said it was one of the largest police operations in Jerusalem in recent years. He added that more than 7,500 police officers, including special patrol units, undercover units and border police, are involved in the operation. Thousands of members of the public arrived in Jerusalem to pay their last respects to the late president. Dozens of world leaders, including United States President Barack Obama, are expected to attend Peres's funeral. Melissa Gaviro, EMTV World News.
Up next on Trukai Sports, we'll have news in swimming, netball and basketball. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The TNT Short Course Swimming Championship started today at the Tarama Aquatic Center. Both young and old took part in individual category. The aim of this competition is to select a squad for December's Short Course Championships in Canada. Selected swimmers will travel to Canada at the end of the year, with 2 swimmers each for each stroke. Godwin Eki reports.
President Elizabeth Wells said TNT Short Course is a national event that always brings out the best in swimmers as they compete to get personal best time or break personal best. The tournament saw swimmers from Lae, Port Moresby and overseas take part in the short course event. Wells said 2 swimmers each will be selected from the TNT Short Course Championship in each stroke, who goes into the train-on squad in preparations for the Canada Short Course Championships in December.
Competition happening in Canada in December. It's the FINA Short Course Championships. That's why it's great having this Short Course Championship now. We'll be selecting our best athletes to go to that after the completion of this competition. So we'll be having a meeting on Sunday to do that.
Also making an appearance in the pool will be PNG Superfish Ryan Pinney, who's also taking part in the 3-day championships.
I'm doing 50 and 100 metre events in the fly back and free. I did have a bit of a break after Rio, so this is sort of about just getting back in the pool, working on technique, coming out and swimming against the younger kids, giving them a bit of mentoring and I don't know, it's good fun to come out and watch and to race for me, so I'm looking forward to it.
Godwin Eki, National EMTV Sports.
PNG Swimming President Elizabeth Wells says 2018 will be an exciting year for the country as PNG will play host to the 2018 Oceania Swimming Championship. The aim is to host a well-run international competition for the 18 countries affiliated to Oceania Swimming Association. The events will include open water and synchronized swimming, with hopefully a demonstration sport of water at the Tarama Aquatic Center.
The Oceania Swimming Championships are held every 2 years. Now the championships, under the FINA rule for Oceania, incorporates open water swimming, pool swimming and synchronized swimming. With the announcement of PNG to host the 2018 Oceania Swimming Championships, President Elizabeth Wells said Papua New Guinea is ready to host the Games, as we now have the world-class facilities like the Aquatic Centre for these kind of events. With the facilities at hand, Wells said in the lead-up to the 2018 Oceania Championships, PNG Swimming Inc. is currently running coaching clinics for coaches and technical officials to upskill their knowledge.
And we're very, very happy for that to happen because they're the ones that are going to go back and teach our swimmers. We have Kathleen Maskelyne, who is our Chief Technical Official. She's putting together all the technical officials, working very hard with that, and we hope to have a FINA Technical Officials course prior to the event.
She said between now and 2018, more focus will be given to the swimmers in motivating them to train hard in the lead-up to the Games, like they did for the 2015 Pacific Games.
It's going to be an exciting time. We were hoping to have it in 2016, but that didn't happen. But we have got it now for 2018, which is probably better because it gives us a little bit more time to get our athletes up.
Now, the PNG government has come on board to sponsor the event for 2 years with 600,000 kina to get the PNG Swimming Inc. ready to host the 2018 Oceania Swimming Championships. Godwin Aki, National EMTV Sports.
In netball, the PNG Under-21 netball team slipped back into the country from their campaign in the World Youth Junior Championship qualifiers in Auckland, New Zealand. The Junior Peppers were unable to qualify for one of 3 spots on offer to next year's World Cup. They had losses to Fiji, the Cook Islands and Samoa, with their only victory a crushing 65-33 win over Tonga. Fiji, Samoa and the Cook Islands will now represent Oceania at the 2017 Youth World Cup in Botswana. And in basketball, one team from Port Moresby and another from Daru have both qualified for the semi-finals of the Under-18 National Championships. Port Moresby's team 1 had 4 straight wins in their Pool A matches to reach the top, while Daru were 2 points off.
After 3 days of competition in Port Moresby, the hosts PMBL had easily shot off the mark, cruising to big wins over Medan, Central and Kerema. The sides from the nation's capital easily dominating their opponents with their class and a home court advantage. Other centres like Mount Hagen have also impressed through the tournament, as well as a team from Daru.
Look, I've been really impressed on the men's side with Daru. I think, the way that they've been playing, especially at the defensive end of the floor, has been, put them in position to win most of their games, and they've only lost one. So, look, they've been really exciting to watch, and, they've been getting good crowd numbers behind them. On the women's side, all the teams have been playing really physical, and, from a coaching standpoint, you like to see that.
Joe Kalu, the executive officer for Basketball PNG, is ecstatic with the enthusiasm and talent on show, and believes that the future of basketball in Papua New Guinea is looking bright with the next generation of players.
At the end of these tournaments, tomorrow night we'll be naming our PNG Under-18 men's and women's national teams. Those teams will go to Fiji in December to play in the Oceania Championship. So, we're really excited about the talent that we've got. We think we can get some really nice teams together that can go compete with the best teams in the Pacific.
In the women's division, the Port Moresby women are on top with Kerema, hoping to reach a spot in the semi-finals. Simbu and Madang provinces were forfeited due to non-attendance. The semi-finals and grand final will commence on Saturday. Jeremy Mogi, National EMTV Sports.
Chukai Sports continues. We'll preview the AFL and NRL grand final matches. Stay with us.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome back to Chukai Sports. In AFL, it will be history in the making when the Western Bulldogs take on the Sydney Swans in the AFL Premiership decider in Melbourne tomorrow. For the Sydney Swans, this is their 5th appearance and their first since 2005. All eyes, however, are on the Western Bulldogs. Their last victory in the then Victoria Football League was 55 years ago in 1961. They're hoping for victory and will be heading into the match as underdogs. The last time both sides met was in July with a win to the Bulldogs. The NRL Grand Final is set to be a blast between the Melbourne Storm and the Cronulla Sharks this Sunday at the ANZ Stadium. Cronulla have never been to a Grand Final for almost 50 years and will be going into the match as underdogs.
Is this going to be their year?
It has been evident all year that the Sharks are made of the right stuff. The late season fall was a concern at the time, but now it's almost a rite of passage for Premiership teams. Cronulla will pack half a century of energy into this match in a faster game that many expect. The ever-present Cameron Smith and Cooper Cronk led the Storm to the minor premiership despite an injury-ravaged season, and there's no reason why they can't take the team to another title. The Sharks' finals campaign has arguably been more impressive than Melbourne's.
Win 15 games in this competition in a row. I just can't imagine how they've done that.
The Sharks will be banging on hooker Michael Ennis and 5'8" James Maloney, who have both assisted greatly in the Sharks campaign this season. If Cronulla can start with a similar intensity to last week and force the Storm into chasing points, they have the strength in the middle, and Ennis and Maloney may just close out a gritty win.
These young blokes on our side that for some reason nothing seems to faze them really, and fingers crossed they can keep that sort of mentality the rest of the week.
Cameron Smith was quietly confident with the Storm heading into the finals on Sunday.
Approach is not about being the party poopers. It's about playing against a very good football side. We understand the situation of the Cronulla Sharks and their club, and they've been waiting a long time to win a premiership.
The match is set to kick off at 7:15 with pre-game entertainment led by Keith Urban at 6:30 p.m. Sunday at the ANZ Stadium. Elijah Lovett, National MTV Sports.
Johnny Elode Boxing has signed a historic agreement with the Sports Foundation of Papua New Guinea. This agreement allows PNG to work with the Philippines company to bring major sporting events that Elode has to Papua New Guinea.
The Memorandum of Understanding was signed by Johnny Elode and his wife Lisa, who recently visited Papua New Guinea for initial discussions on working out an agreement to help boxing in the country.
In trying to establish a relationship that going forward in creating a right environment for elite athletes and potential boxers in Papua New Guinea to be able to come to an environment where we can breed success. Elode Gym is such a successful product in the Philippines and it's spread across the world.
Tamalili said the Papua New Guinea government is establishing that relationship with Elode gyms and creating an environment for athletes to compete in the field of boxing.
It's such a wonderful time for us and the country, and this signing again epitomizes where our government wants to promote our country to the world, and this partnership is just in line with our government policy to strengthen the country within and also to promote sports throughout the country and throughout the world. And
Lisa Elode says they're excited with the new signing with PNG Sports Foundation.
And we're very, very excited because we know that there are a lot of natural talents in Papua New Guinea, and we are very, very much willing to develop also and help out whatever you have in Papua New Guinea with regards to a lot of talents. Like we know that you have professional boxers there.
Tamalili and Osborne were privileged enough to watch boxing star Manny Pacquiao train. Elijah Lovett, National MTV Sports.
And that ends True Kai Sports. The weather details when we come back.
True Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Your weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow. In the southern region, fine although cloudy at times in Port Moresby, mostly fine in Daru, Alotau and Popondetta, and coastal showers in Kerema. In the Momase region, mostly fine in Lae, passing showers in Medang, brief thundery showers in Wewak and rain showers in Vanimo. In the New Guinea Island region, fine in Kavieng, Kimbe and Buka, showers in Lorengau and a shower or two in Kokopo and Rabaul. And in the Highlands region, cloudy in Mount Hagen, Mendi and Wabeg, and fine weather in Goroka and Kundiawa.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield, worth doing with Dulux.
Now before we go, a recap of our main stories for tonight. Labour Minister calls for review of laws. Naval officers win international award, and Governor Parkop blasts utility companies and land department. And that's the way it is this Friday, the 30th of September 2016. From the news team, have a pleasant weekend. Good night.